Hey guys, it's Jessie, and I am ready to talk about Taylor Swift's new album, The Life of a Showgirl. Taylor Swift is such an interesting case because she's very funny and she's autistic and she's queer and she is the most famous person in the world, arguably. And if you were the most famous person in the world and you had everyone eating out of your hands and begging for you to do anything, even your haters, watch your every move because they want a piece of what you're giving. They do love you, even if they hide it. I think you might, see if you could prank everyone in the whole world. And I think that's exactly what Taylor Swift did with this new album, The Life of a Showgirl. And I also think that we have not nearly seen the end of it, but I will share my thoughts on the songs and also my thoughts on what she's planning and what she's going to do in this video. I just got back from seeing the live theater experience of the release party of a Showgirl, which is why I am dressed like this. Sorry if this little head thing is not perfectly centered. And I am wearing like this flapper dress with sequins, but you can't really see it, and it's sort of cold out here, so I'm wearing my folklore cardigan. But yeah, honestly, guys, I've been having such a blast. So I have been following this album release obviously very closely. I do a lot of Gaylor content on TikTok. It's like sort of my autistic special interest. Like I just love Taylor Swift. I've been a huge fan of hers for 20 years. I'm about 4 years younger than her. And so, I've really grown up with her, and she has taken me from when I was a young girl and I thought that I was straight and I thought that she was straight to where I am now, where I'm a lesbian and I'm pretty sure she's a lesbian or bisexual or queer of some kind. So we've gone on a journey together and it's been really fun. But I'm a huge fan. I have an encyclopedic knowledge of her music. I know like every word to every song. If you play 1 second of a Taylor Swift song, I could tell you what song it is. I'm autistic. I just can't help it. My brain just works like that. And I think that's awesome. I love music. It's everything to me. And Taylor Swift specifically is a musician who I have adored and loved my whole life, which is why I think that this album is a prank, because the lyrics to this album are so high school. And I think that she really like gave us a here damn album. Like I think that she heard all the people who were like, "Oh, Taylor Swift is with Travis Kelce and they're going to settle." I don't know why this person is like weirdly Irish. And they're going to settle down and have a lot of babies, and she's going to retire and like move to a cottage in the woods, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, "Oh, well, if that's what you want for me, I'll give it to you." So she took the song so high school and that sort of lyricism and that sort of vibe, and she turned it into a 12-song album called The Life of a Showgirl. And I'll walk you through my thoughts on the songs first, and then I will tell you what I think is coming next. But first, I want to say, one thing that a lot of people don't understand about Taylor Swift is that she writes about things that haven't happened yet. She writes songs that are foreshadowing. And So High School, I believe, was one of those foreshadowing songs, specifically the line, "You knew what you wanted, and boy, you got her." She gave the people exactly what they've been asking for so that people can say, "Oh, well, maybe I don't like this version of Taylor. Like, maybe I don't want this Taylor who has like lost all the poetry in her lyricism." But also, some people are like, "This is her best album ever. It's wall to wall bangers." And for the record, it is wall to wall bangers. Like, Max Martin and Shellback can produce the F out of a song. That is not in question. The music is so catchy. I love the album. I dance into it. I know all the songs already. It is a absolute blast. The lyrics are just strange. Honestly, when I first saw the leaks, I thought the lyrics were AI. I'm still not convinced that the lyrics are not AI. We just won't know that until Taylor eventually elects to tell us. And if she doesn't, then we will spend our whole lives wondering, by we, I mean me, whether song lyric were AI or just Taylor writing stupid song lyrics, which is definitely something that she is capable of doing. Okay, so the album opens with the song The Fate of Ophelia, and these are the leaked lyrics that I originally saw, and I was like, well, this is fake. Like, these leaks are fake. She's bait and switching us, she's giving us this leak. I do believe, I always have believed, that Taylor Swift's team orchestrated the leaks. And I was like, she's giving us these lyrics that sound really bad, and so that, people will share them around, and people will have one expectation, and when the album drops, it's going to be something completely different. And then on September September 29th, they started the Life of a Showgirl pop-up experience in New York, and I think there was one in LA as well. And in this pop-up experience, very similar to the Tortured Poets Department pop-up experience, there were some lyrics scattered around the room, and one of them was "Keep It 100," which is a leaked lyric and a real lyric from The Fate of Ophelia. And so then I was like, oh, well, the leaks were true then, or at least some of them were. So what do I think is happening now? And then I was like, what if there is a bait and switch? Like, what if this is the album that comes out at midnight, and then at 1 a.m. on October 3rd, following the pattern where we got a 3 a.m. drop after Midnights, a 2 a.m. drop after the Tortured Poets Department, we get a 1 a.m. drop after The Life of a Showgirl. That's like, hey guys, that album was actually made by AI. Isn't it crazy that you can't really tell what's AI and what isn't? Because I think that Taylor and a lot of other artists have been working together. And one of the things that I think they've been working on is like the hazards of AI, specifically around artistry and music, and like the ease with which people are able to make deep fakes these days. And so I was like, she's going to put out an album, an hour later she's going to be like, hey guys, that's AI, isn't that scary? And then she's going to drop the real one. Clearly that didn't happen. And I still do think that we're getting a bait and switch. My new updated prediction is October 4th at 7 p.m., the little standby tack on the time card, but we will get to that. So The Fate of Ophelia is obviously based on the story of Ophelia from the Shakespeare play Hamlet. And the fate of Ophelia in Hamlet is that she drowns. And she drowns because men have driven her to madness and gaslit her, etc. And with Taylor Swift's album cover for The Life of a Showgirl, with her basically like drowning in a bathtub, even though on the New Heights podcast, she's like, here I am taking a nice relaxing bath. We know you're a liar, Taylor. I was like, I think The Fate of Ophelia is going to be a very depressing song, but Max Martin and Shellback, I was like, I think that all of the songs are going to have very upbeat, very poppy beats, but I think that some of the lyrics are going to make you very upset, very, very depressed. And that actually is not true of this song, because the hook is, "You saved my heart from the fate of Ophelia." But the song opens, "I heard you calling on the megaphone. You want to see me all alone. As legend has it, you are quite the pyro. You light the match to watch it blow. And if you'd never come for me, I might have drowned in the melancholy. I swore my loyalty to me, myself, and I, right before you lit my sky up." The lyrics are pretty clunky. They don't make much sense. There's not much depth to them. But she continues, "All that time, I sat alone in my tower. You were just honing your powers. Now I can see it all. Late one night, you dug me out of my grave and saved my heart from the fate of Ophelia. Keep it 100 on the land, the sea, the sky. Pledge allegiance to your hands, your team, your vibes. Don't care where the hell you've been, 'cause now you're mine." And here's where I'm like, it's about to be the sleepless night you've been dreaming of, the fate of Ophelia. Once again, the fate of Ophelia is that she drowned. What do you mean it's about to be the sleepless night you've been dreaming of, the fate of Ophelia? Not quite sure. Anyway, the music video for the song is amazing, but it ends with that shot of her in the bathtub that ended up on the cover of The Life of a Showgirl. And it's very clear that like this is not about her real life. You know, she is in her Showgirl era. This is the Showgirl, not real Taylor. There's two Taylors. There's inner Taylor, the queer tortured poet, and then there is Taylor the brand, Taylor Swift TM, Taylor Swift the Showgirl. The Showgirl has written this album. Real Taylor has written all of the other albums. This is why this album is so different. It's written by this Showgirl, and this Showgirl character we see in the Target ad that she did for the Target specific, like, the crowd is your king, pink glitter vinyl, being bumbling. Like, she kicks a can, she kicks a bucket, she throws glitter. She's got cat hair all over her.
She's got cat hair all over her.
Director Taylor, real Taylor, is like, you're giving no girl, not Showgirl.
It's giving no girl, not Showgirl. What are we doing?
Clearly, this brand Taylor who has written this album is not very good at her job. Which is actually quite interesting, because usually when we see Taylor Swift the brand, she is competent. That's who we see on the Eras tour, hitting all of this amazing choreography and walking 3.5 hours, running 3.5 hours, dancing 3.5 hours in heels and like crushing it. It's very strange that we're now seeing her as this like bumbling figure. That's like something totally new. Not quite sure what it means yet, but I will continue to watch and see what happens. And then verse 2, very similar, the eldest daughter of a nobleman, Ophelia lived in fantasy. These are just telling, not showing lyrics. They're so different from what we are used to with Taylor Swift because we're used to poetry. Like on 7 by Taylor Swift, she does not say, when I was a kid, I used to go outside and just yell all the time because I had no shame, which is like what the lyrics on this album is giving. She says, please picture me in the trees before I learned civility. I used to scream ferociously anytime I wanted. In Evermore, Taylor Swift does not say, I was cold, so you gave me your jacket. She says, November flush and your flannel cure. She does not say, I'm with my baby, he turns everything to gold. She says, your Midas touch on the Chevy door. She is telling, not showing, which is not what Taylor Swift usually does, which is why this feels so disjointed, and also why a lot of people like this more. A lot of people are not fans of poetry. They're not fans of heavy symbolism and imagery. And so she made an album for them, Like if you're one of the people who loves this, awesome. I love the vibes. I think it's really fun. There's no problem with liking this album. It's just not Taylor, and it's very clear that she's doing this for a purpose. And I think that purpose is to show, like, hey, if you guys want the me that's always sparkly and always sequined and whatever, here, you can have her, to make people be like, no, actually, we don't want this. Like, we love your lyrics. But I personally see Fate of Ophelia from a queer lens. I see it as, her saving herself. She has the imagery of like, you're a pyro, like the match to watch it blow. And we've seen so much fire imagery from Taylor Swift when she references burning down her reputation, etc. I'd rather burn my whole life down than listen to one more second of all this bitching and moaning. Like, she talks about fire a lot. And she continues to talk about fire on this album. So she's still giving hints to people. She's still saying, like, the plan is still on. She's just giving, like, a little dance break. And honestly, slay. But yeah, all that time I sat alone in my tower, you were just honing your powers. Keep it 100. I pledge allegiance to your hand, your team, your vibes. And in the music video, she catches a football when it says your team, which is just very, very silly. The whole thing is very silly. It's very, very silly and fun. And the music video has all of the Eras Tour dancers in it too. It just felt like a big, happy reunion. Honestly, it was so much fun. The second song is Elizabeth Taylor, and I will say I never expected Taylor Swift to come out this era. I think that she is much more focused on vigilante shit. Cam, one of her backup dancers, did a TikTok about vigilante shit last week where he was like, one of my favorite authors is putting out a new piece of literature next week, and so I wanted to read one of my old favorite pieces of her literature, and he reads the lyrics to vigilante shit. And I was like, okay, this makes a lot of sense. It's very much like new romantics, the dominoes cascaded in a line, like one artist does one thing, another does another. They're all working together to bring down the music industry and the entertainment industry as it currently stands, where mostly straight white men profit off the artistry of mostly queer and mostly neurodivergent people, artists, and they don't actually make any art themselves, and yet they take most of the money. And then when something happens to one of those artists, when Chappell Roan gave her speech at the Grammys about how young artists don't have access to health care and they're just put in a very precarious situation before they are able to sell a big first album, like that's what's going on in the music industry. Essentially, the artists are unionizing. And I get a lot of pushback on this idea that the artists are working together. And I'm like, how far gone are we from unionizing in this country that this seems so far-fetched? Because I promise it's not. I promise like unionizing is good and normal and it should be happening everywhere. But I'm pretty sure this is Taylor's last album with Universal Music Group, UMG. I think she's going to go onto her own label after this. So I think this is her sort of like, in addition to everything else, like phoning in like a fun, silly little last album and then like peacing out. But that said, I never thought that she was going to come out on this album because I think that's her focus. And I don't think she wants to like come out and have it be this big surprise. I think she just wants to make it a little bit louder and louder that she is attracted to women. Like, even if she is in a relationship with Travis, that doesn't mean that she's straight. She can be bisexual, she can be pansexual. I think she just wants to insert a little bit more like, hey guys, I date women, I like women, and make it more overt, because so far all of her songs, like Betty, Dorothea, every song where she sings about a girl, how you get the girl, it always ends up being like, oh, that song's from the male perspective. is it? And I think in this album, she makes it much more clear it's not. This song is about a woman, and I'm the one singing it. And one of those songs is Elizabeth Taylor. I honestly think Elizabeth Taylor is quite a good song. You know, the lyrics are not as Taylor Swifty as, you know, some people probably expected, but personally, I love Elizabeth Taylor, the person. And I think this song is really fun. And she's basically like talking to a woman who reminds her of Elizabeth Taylor and saying that she's like pining for her. And, you know, people definitely are trying to het wash this, but I think it's pretty obviously queer. Opalite is a very fun song. Honestly, probably one of my favorites. I love the bridge of this song, and most of the bridges in this album are trash. So I think it's very special to me, and it's also just so much fun. And the way that she described it in like the movie experience was a blast. She was like, you know, opalite is a man-made opal. So not something that naturally occurs, but something you have to work at and create yourself. And she was like, my life hasn't just been handed to me. You know, it hasn't been easy. I've had to make all of my success and all of my luck myself. And so it reminds me of like opalite, like I'm creating my success. And I think that is such a cool concept for a song. I think it's so interesting. The lyrics are pretty simple, but like, once again, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. It's just not what people were really expecting. But the opening of the song says, I had a bad habit of missing lovers past. My brother used to call it eating out of the trash. And I was on FaceTime with my friend listening to it, and I was like, eating out the trash? Eating out the trash? And she was like, what are you talking about? And I was like, this lyric is eating out the trash. And she was like, no, it's not. And I was like, oh, ugh, lesbian dreams. But the chorus is really cute. You know, it says, it's all right. You were dancing through the lightning strikes, sleepless in the onyx night, but now the sky is opalite. Oh, my lord. Never met no one like you before. You had to make your own sunshine, but now the sky is opalite. Oh. It's like the whole album honestly gives very like Rocky Horror Picture Show. And then humor me. Here's the bridge. It's so cute. I just love it. I don't know. This is just a storm inside a teacup, but shelter here with me, my love. Thunder like a drum. This life will beat you up, 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 up. This is just a temporary speed bump, but failure brings you freedom, and I can bring you love, 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 love. It's just cute. It's just cute. I really like this song. Father Figure is the next song. And this is a song that from the leaks, I was like, okay, well, I hope that this one's real because it's silly and it's fun and it's obviously about, and I think I haven't watched the Graham Norton show yet. It just aired, but I think that I saw on Reddit someone who was at the taping of the Graham Norton show yesterday said that she name drops Scott Borchetta and Scooter Braun when she talks about this song. And in the movie version of the Life of a Showgirl, she said that this is about like taking the George Michael song Father Figure, which is interpolated in this song, which is obviously a queer love song by George Michael, about like being someone's lover but also someone that they look up to, and twisting it and making it about power. And this song seems like it's from the perspective of, you know, Scott Borchetta, the founder of Big Machine Records, the person who signed Taylor Swift when she was 15 years old and then sold her masters out from under her after she had been asking him to buy them from him for years to Scooter Braun. And she already didn't like Scooter because of her feud with Kanye, and he works with Kanye and Scooter just being a bad person. And then her dad profited off the sale of her masters by quite a bit because he had a part ownership stake of Big Machine Records. Like, it was just a big mess. But this is from the perspective of Scott Borchetta, in my opinion. And it starts, when I found you, you were young, wayward, lost in the cold, pulled up to you in the Jag, turned your rags into gold. The winding road leads to the chateau. You reminded me of a younger me. I saw potential. And then the chorus says, I'll be your father figure. I drink that brown liquor. I can make deals with the devil because my dick's bigger. Amazing. They changed it in theaters. I was like, no. But they changed it because my check's bigger, which is like, I get it. There were children there, but still. And then she says, this love is pure profit. Just step into my office. I dry your tears with my sleeve. Leave it with me. I protect the family. Leave it with me. I protect the family. It's very mafia themed. Later in the song, in the bridge, she talks about like sleeping with the fishes. I'm going to get to the bridge in a little bit. It's its own whole thing. But it really seems like, you know, like Scott Borchetta is not just the owner of a record label. He was like a mob boss. He was like, you know, I'll protect you, but, you know, you have to do what I say. You can't be out of the closet. You have to pretend to be in these PR relationships. You don't get that much money. You like only get this much. Like, I control your music. blah blah blah. And like, once again, the whole goal of Taylor and the rest of the New Romantics is to bring down this sort of like mob boss entity and make it a more equitable system and industry by and for artists. The second verse says, I pay the check before it kisses the mahogany grain, said they want to see you rise, they don't want you to reign. So it's like Scott Borchetta saying, hey, no, they just want to see you get big, but they don't want you to like be on your own label or like do your own thing. And Taylor Swift is really picking up here sort of where like Michael Jackson left off, because Michael Jackson was trying to prove that he could go off and do his own thing and be really successful prior to his death. And I think that Taylor is referencing Michael Jackson quite a bit in this album. And then she says, I showed you all the tricks of the trade. All I asked for is your loyalty, my dear protege. I'll be your father figure. I drink that brown liquor. I can make deals with the devil because my dick's bigger. This love is pure profit. Just step into my office. They'll know your name in the streets. Leave it with me. I protect the family. I'm just saying, if Taylor Swift didn't want us to speculate that her relationships are PR, maybe she shouldn't say, this love is pure profit in her songs. Maybe she doesn't care. Maybe she is totally fine with people speculating that she's queer and that her relationships are PR. Just a thought. Maybe you don't need to like hate Gaylor so much. Maybe we're not so bad. Maybe we just love the music and love the lyrics and love Taylor Swift. Personally, that's how I am. And then the bridge is really interesting. She says, your thoughtless ambition sparked the ignition on foolish decisions which led to misguided visions. That to fulfill your dreams, you had to get rid of me. I protect the family. So once again, we have this imagery that we've seen in Midnight's in the song Mastermind, and a touch of the hand with the fuse to this chain reaction of counter moves. Here it's, your thoughtless ambition sparked the ignition of foolish decisions which led to misguided visions. Scott Borchetta in this song is basically saying, like, you're such a fool. You know, you think that you can start your own label and have an equitable industry and do things your way, but you can't. Like, it's this way for a reason. You have no idea what you're talking about, little girl. Like, that's sort of the vibe that it's giving. And like, can we all just say fuck Scott Borchetta real fast? That man sucks. And then the final chorus is also very interesting. It says, I was your father figure. So this is clearly after Taylor left Big Machine, after she finished Reputation. I was your father figure. We drank that brown liquor. You made a deal with this devil. Turns out my dick's bigger. You want to fight? You found it. I got the place surrounded. You'll be sleeping with the fishes before you know you're drowning. Whose portrait's on the mantle? Who covered up your scandals? Mistake my kindness for weakness and find your card canceled. I was your father figure. You pulled the wrong trigger. This empire belongs to me. God, I love this song. Leave it with me. I protect the family. You know, you remind me of a younger me. I saw potential. Great song. Honestly, such a great song. And that brings us to track 5. And anyone who knows Taylor Swift, the sunset is really beautiful right now. As an aside, like, I wish you guys could see it. The East Coast sunsets and clouds have really like awed and humbled me, honestly, but that's a completely different conversation. Back to track 5. Anyone who knows Taylor Swift and has followed her music for a long time knows that track 5s are very special to Taylor. They are very emotional songs. On Debut, it is Cold as You, which I think is about her dad. On Fearless, it's White Horse, which is so interesting because, you know, White Horse is like, I'm not a princess, this ain't a fairy tale. It's all about like, I was not waiting for a man to come get me. She's throughout her career done all this like, I am not a damsel in distress thing. And then the first song on The Life of a Showgirl, The Fate of Ophelia, is like, I was locked in my tower, you were honing your powers. Like, she's being like, hey guys, this isn't real because I never have like promoted this thing. She's like, have you paid attention to my music at all over the past 20 years? So on Fearless, it's White Horse. On Speak Now, it's Dear John. On Red, it's All Too Well. On 1989, it's All You Had to Do Was Stay. On Reputation, it's Delicate. On Lover, it's The Archer. On Folklore, it's My Tears Ricochet. On Evermore, it's Tolerated. On Midnights, it's You're On Your Own Kid. On the Tortured Poets Department, it's So Long London. Like, this is supposed to be the most gut-wrenching song on the album. And the track is called Eldest Daughter. So, like, as the eldest daughter, I was, you know, personally really looking forward to this one. And it's bad. It's bad. It's quite bad. And it's like, you know, like if a high schooler wrote this, then it would be really good. But, you know, Taylor Swift at 20 years into her career, 20 years after she wrote Cold as You, one of the like most gut-wrenching and beautiful songs in history, writes this song that says, everybody's so punk on the internet, everybody's unbothered till they're not, every joke's just trolling and memes, sad as it seems, apathy is hot. Like, first of all, she is trolling us. Every joke's just trolling and memes. And then on the Torture Poets Department, in the song The Torture Poets Department, she says, who's gonna troll you like me? And you being her fans, like, she is a troll. She trolls us constantly. This is her trolling us. Like, just for the record, there is precedent for this. She goes on to say, everybody's cutthroat in the comments. Every single hot take is cold as ice. When you found me, I said I was busy. That was a lie. Okay. I have been afflicted by a terminal uniqueness. I've been dying just from trying to seem cool. Okay. And then we get into the chorus. But I'm not a bad bitch, and this isn't savage. But I'm never gonna let you down. I'm never gonna leave you out. So many traitors, smooth operators, but I'm never gonna break that vow. I'm never gonna leave you now. Okay, so the thing about this that's interesting is that in one of my like Gaylor group chats last night, a girl was saying that she really liked this song and that she's a little bit disappointed by the lyricism, but that she really relates to and enjoys the subject material. And I'm like, well, yes, this is one of those pretty universal experiences. I think everyone has had some sort of feeling like this, even if they're not the eldest daughter. And that can be said about all of Taylor's songs on this album and on other albums. Like, one of the things that she's really good at doing is tapping into these emotions and experiences that most people have. My parents' dog is literally humping a cushion next to me. I don't know what to do. I don't know why my dad let him out here. But that's what we're dealing with right now. Moving forward, she taps into these experiences that everyone has had that a lot of people don't have the words to put to. They can feel like really isolating and lonely experiences that only you have ever had, but she puts words to them and she makes you feel in such a way like, oh, I'm not the only person who's ever felt this way. And now there's a beautiful song about this emotion that I can go back to, years and years later when I'm having this feeling. I don't have to feel like I'm alone. That to me is the beauty of Taylor Swift. One of the things. She's a Capricorn rising. She has Scorpio in the 11th house, and Scorpio is all about like understanding the really dark depths of something, of some area of life. And in her 11th house, that means that is what brings people together, like what brings people into community, what people's hopes and dreams and wishes are. And she is really able to tap into that and like uncover a way to take a universal experience that, people usually have a hard time with and make it so cathartic. And so if Taylor Swift wanted to write about the topic of being an eldest daughter, she could so easily do it in a way that rips your heart out of your chest and, puts it in a blender and whirs until it's completely pureed, and then light that whole blender on fire and incinerate it, and then feed it back into your body through your mouth, and then grab you by your ankles. This is honestly quite graphic. Grab you by your ankles and shake you until all of the heart-burned juice is all through your body and you are just in pain. She could so easily do that. She has chosen not to. And that's why I think that this album is so clearly a prank, because this is the all too well of the album. And the chorus starts, but I'm not a bad bitch and this isn't savage. and it has a pre-chorus that says, every eldest daughter was the first lamb to the slaughter. So we all dressed up as wolves and we looked fire. Like, if someone else who is like not as prolific and poetic as Taylor Swift had written this, like, it might just be like, okay, I don't love this song, but whatever. But like, it being Taylor Swift specifically, it's like, okay, this is a prank. She's obviously doing this on purpose. People are being like, maybe just being with Travis has made her just like not as deep anymore. No, please stop right there. A man has not impacted her ability to write songs. I don't even think their relationship is real. But even if you think their relationship is real, you shouldn't think that being with Travis has, juiced her brain. Like, she hasn't gotten like CTE from him. She's still able to write the best bridge in the world, and she is just choosing not to in this album. Song 6 is Ruin the Friendship, and this is a gay little song that people are like, no, this is actually about Corey Monteith. I'm so sorry. As a lesbian, I'm going to stop you right there. This song is about the women loving women experience. Whether you're lesbian, bisexual, pansexual, whatever it is, this is a woman loving woman song. Please don't try to make it straight. Let us have this one thing, okay? Let us have something. I mean, more than one thing, but like, let us have this because this is about being gay, okay? Specifically in verse 2, when she says, shiny wood floors underneath my feet, disco ball makes everything look cheap, have fun, it's prom, wilted corsage dangles from my wrist, over his shoulder, her date's shoulder, I catch a glimpse and see you looking at me. Over her date's shoulder, she sees someone else looking at her. If it was another guy that she wanted to be there with, she could have just gone with that guy. And it was not an invitation, but as the 50 Cent song played, Candy Shop, of course, should have kissed you anyway. And it was not convenient. No, would have been the best mistake. Should have kissed you anyway. Like, this is gay. Please, this is gay. Anyway, it's a very sad song, and this person ends up passing away. And then the post-chorus is just like so, like, once again, show, not tell. Like, she is saying exactly what she means. She's not using symbolism. My advice is to always ruin the friendship, better than regret it for all time. Should have kissed you anyway. And my advice is to always answer the question, better than to ask it all your life. Should have kissed you anyway. Once again, same exact thing. She is just not dressing it up in her flowery and poetic language. She's just saying it, and this is not very Taylor Swift of her. The next song, Actually Romantic, is another one that is explicitly and overtly queer, and so I'm like, she is begging you to, like, understand that she's at least bisexual. She is begging you to understand that she at least likes women in some capacity. She has never said that she is straight. She has never said that she's not a member of the LGBTQ plus community, regardless of what people will tell you. Those people do not understand the context of the Vogue 2019 article, which they cite, which is her talking about speaking up for Black people and trans people, both communities of which she is not a member. However, she has never said that she's not part of the LGBTQ plus community. She's never said that she's straight. Period. There is no reason to think that she doesn't want people to say or think that she is either of those things. I don't know how much I have to keep saying this. People will always hate Gaylors. It is what it is. But anyway, in the movie version of The Life of a Showgirl, she says that this song is a love letter to, you know, a woman and to women and to people who spend so much energy hating her. And she's like, well, I don't hate you, but like, thanks for giving me so much attention. You know, attention is affection in the entertainment industry. And she's like, I appreciate you like giving me all that attention. But people are making this a Charlie XCX diss track, and I think it's literally just because it says Coke. It goes, I heard you call me boring Barbie when the Cokes got you brave. High-fived my ex, and then you said you're glad he ghosted me. Wrote me a song saying it makes you sick to see my face. Some people might be offended, but it's actually sweet. And people also thought that Sympathy is a Knife was a diss track towards Taylor, and that this is a response diss track. Taylor Swift and Charlie XCX are quite good friends. They are colleagues. They are working together in this music industry, you know, revamp sort of situation. Charlie opened for Taylor on the Reputation tour. I saw her. It was very cool. Please stop trying to manufacture beef between women. And I know that they are intentionally leading in this beef. And so it's like, it's fine, you know, whatever. But it's just like, you have like 2 words of this song where you're like, yes, it's about Charlie XCX. Like, let's think of what the song is actually about, because it's not about one person. It's about a whole theme that keeps going on. And more importantly, it's gay. It's a gay enemies to lovers romance story, and I love it. And the chorus is, it's actually sweet, all the time you've spent on me. It's honestly wild, all the effort you've put in. It's actually romantic. I really gotta hand it to you. No man has ever loved me like you do. No man has ever loved me like you do, indicating that this is about a woman. And then the bridge says, you think I'm tacky, baby. Stop talking dirty to me. It sounded nasty, but it feels like you're flirting with me. I mind my business. God's my witness that I don't provoke it. It's kind of making me wet. Yay! Oh my gosh, we are done with the straightest woman alive rumors. Put them to bed. Get it off my desk. Get it off your chest. I'm Mayday, Mayday, Mayday. We have proof. We have proof. Woo! The Gaylor signal sent up. Yay! Thank you, Taylor. She was like, I'm giving them this like really strange album. I've got to throw them this bone. And we really appreciate it. And then she immediately says the craziest thing that I think she says in, well, Wood is a completely different animal, but one of the craziest lines on this album in the next song, which is Wish List. And Wish List opens, they want that yacht life under chopper blades. They want those bright lights and Balenci shades and a fat ass with a baby face. They want it all. This is why I'm not a rapper. They want that complex female character. They want that critical smash palm d'or and an Oscar on their bathroom floor. They want it all. And then the pre-chorus, in a lyrically genius sort of really advanced move, she says, and they should have what they want. They deserve what they want. Hope they get what they want. Amazing lyricism. And then the chorus says, I just want you. Have a couple kids, got the whole block looking like you. Like, is this an Elon Musk fan fiction that he wrote about Taylor Swift or something? He's got that like breeder kink. Strange thing to say. I don't know how anyone hears that and is not like, oh, this is bizarre. But I know that, you know, trav wives and people who just want Taylor to like have babies are probably like, oh my God, yes, finally. It's so exhausting to live in heteronormativity world. We tell the world to leave us the fuck alone, and they do. Wow. Got me dreaming about a driveway with a basketball hoop. Boss up, settle down, got a wish list. I just want you. But anyway, she says, have a couple kids, got the whole block looking like you 3 times in this song, and that's 3 times more than I ever wanted to hear it in my lifetime. So this one is honestly a skip for me, but it is a really fun beat once again. And so, you know, if I'm not near my phone, I'm not skipping it. And then we get to the song Wood. And Wood was something that I saw in the leaks originally that led me to believe the leaks were fake and then to believe that the leaks were AI, because one of the things that this says is new heights of manhood. And I was like, this is exactly what AI would spit out if you said, write a dirty love song about a man who has a podcast called New Heights. So whether this is AI or not, we don't know at this moment in time, but maybe we will in the future. Wood starts, Daisy's bare naked, I was distraught. So it starts and you're like, oh, Daisy, a girl name, bare naked, but no, it's a daisy like a flower, the use of which is gay anyway, but and you have pulled off all the petals, she loves me not, and now the daisy is naked. It's a song about superstitions is how Taylor introduced it in the movie. Daisy's bare naked, I was distraught, he loves me not. Penny's unlucky, I took him back and then stepped on a crack and the black cat laughed. And this song is really fun. Like, the intro is very Jackson 5. It's very poppy. It's very upbeat. It's not a skip by any means. I honestly think it's so fun, even though it's so cringe. But it does sort of sound like when I thought I was straight, like me trying to convince myself that I liked a man. The chorus says, all of that bitchin' wishing on a falling star never did me any good. I ain't got to knock on wood. It's you and me forever dancing in the dark. All over me, it's understood. I ain't got to knock on wood. Forgive me, it sounds cocky. He ahmatized me. You know what that means, and opened my eyes. Redwood tree, it ain't hard to see. His love was the key that opened my thighs. And personally, to me, the fact that the chorus says, all of that bitchin' wishing on a falling star never did me any good. I ain't got to knock on wood, is saying, like, I wished for a man, and then I went out and bought a vibrator or a strap-on or something, and now it's you and me forever dancing in the dark, because, like, if she had prayed for Travis, then why is she saying all of that bitching and wishing never did me any good if it brought her? Like, it sounds like it's something that she obtained without wishing or praying, which, you know, might mean a trip to the sex toy store to buy a magic wand. The redwood tree thing is interesting because it actually recalls a copy pasta from 2021 that's like, he put his redwood tree between my thighs and fertilized me with his sap. And I literally, when I made a TikTok about this, someone was like, that's a copy pasta, you fell for it. And I was like, no, this is a Taylor Swift lyric to a song. She is using lyrics from copy pastas from 2021 in this album. She's so funny. This is a prank. It's a prank and it's so funny. And I think that everyone freaking out and being like, this is her worst album ever. I'm like, wait, like 3 days, maybe 2 days. Honestly, I think it's happening tomorrow. And for you, that means today. So it's coming. And the second verse says, girls, I don't need to catch the bouquet to know a hard rock is on the way. Yeah. And the pre-chorus says, and baby, I'll admit, I've been a little superstitious. The curse on me was broken by your magic wand. Once again, magic wand, something that you buy at a store. Seems to be that you and me, we make our own luck, new heights of manhood. I ain't got to knock on wood. Obviously, Travis's podcast is called New Heights. We get it. We get it. The next song is called Canceled. People immediately started being like, oh my God, it's about Blake Lively. And it's essentially Taylor explained in the movie about like when people get canceled who are her friends, like she's the first person they call. And like the chorus is, good thing I like my friends canceled. I like him cloaked in Gucci and in scandal, like my whiskey sour and poison thorny flowers. Welcome to my underworld where it gets quite dark. At least you know exactly who your friends are. They're the ones with matching scars. The song is bad. It's bad, honestly. It's maybe my least favorite song on the album, but it's bad, and it's not about Blake Lively. It's probably a little bit about Blake Lively, but it's not about Blake Lively, you know? The third verse is, but if you can't be good, then just be better at it. Everyone's got bodies in the attic or took somebody's man. And Dr. Brian Licious posted on his Instagram story and was like, girl, who's we? Like... And I think that line might be a nod to Ariana Grande, because now she has this like reputation as a homewrecker, and she's just a queer woman, honestly. Also, news dropped yesterday that her and Ethan are going through a rough spot in their relationship, so breakup incoming. The song called Honey, I think, is quite badly written, like, even in the context of this album. It literally goes, when anyone called me sweetheart, it was passive aggressive at the bar, and the bitch was telling me to back off because her man had looked at me wrong. If anyone called me honey, I was standing in the bathroom, white teeth. They were saying that skirt don't fit me, and I cried the whole way home. But you touched my face for you to find all those blues when you say honey. And it's just like, yeah, this is not a Taylor Swift song, you know? This is not a song that Taylor Swift would write because it's so lyrically simple, and it's just taken a very simple concept and it sounds honestly sort of like it's trying to meet a word requirement, like a word limit. And that's how a lot of her songs and like a lot of the things that she has said about this album in general sound to me. Like she's just trying to use filler and like get enough words in. The other thing about this song specifically is that one of the lines is actually grammatically incorrect, which is something that Taylor Swift would never ever do. And I think she and I have very similar flavors of autism, and so I know this because it's something that I would never ever do. But also just because like she's never had a grammatical error in her music and she's been in this business for 20 years. But basically the bridge says, when anyone called me late night, he was screwing around with my mind. Ask him, what are you wearing to hide or remember in the morning? And then she has one the correct way. And when anyone called me lovely, they were finding ways not to praise me. You can't say when anyone called me and then he was, because he is not a response to anyone. That's someone. Anyone would be they. So just my little grammar nerd 2 cents, but it's not about what people think it's about. I'm so sorry for all of like the changing light schemes in this video. I obviously intended to make this before sunset and I didn't. So here we are. And then the final song on the album is called The Life of a Showgirl. It is the title track of the album. It features Sabrina Carpenter. And this song is also pretty explicitly queer. And I think also references to the New Romantics, but let's go through it. Taylor starts by talking about this quote-unquote fictional, she said that they were fictional in the movie version, but I think they're probably not, person, Showgirl, and she says her name was Kitty, made her money being pretty and witty, they gave her the keys to this city, then they said she didn't do it legitly. And legitly is not a word, and I also saw this on the leaks, and I was like, oh, it's fake, but it's real. It's real. I bought a ticket, she's dancing in her garters and fishnets, 50 in the cast, 0 missteps. That to me is saying there's a bunch of people, a bunch of artists working together, at least 50, 0 missteps. They are all hitting their marks. The actors were hitting their marks. When you aim at the devil, make sure you don't miss. The dominoes cascaded in a line. What if I told you I'm a mastermind? Like all of these people are working together and none of them are screwing up. We've all got it together. Just in case you were wondering. Looking back, I guess it was kismet. And then in the pre-chorus, she says, then glowing like the end of a cigarette. And do you know what people in the UK call cigarettes? Wow, she came out. I said, you're living my dream. Like, I want to pick something up and throw it. Like, how can you say that she's not queer? How can you say that she's not queer? She's queer, she's queer. Yeah, I'm doing fine if anyone's wondering. And Sabrina's verse says she was a menace, the baby of the family in Lennox. Her father whored around like all men did. Her mother took pills and played tennis. And I guess I didn't say before, but like I really like this song. I don't think it's poorly written at all. I think it is pretty well written. I think it gets the point across really, really clearly. And the bridge specifically, which is Taylor and Sabrina saying, I took her pearls of wisdom, hung them from my neck. I paid my dues with every bruise. I know what to expect. Do you want to take a skate on the ice inside my veins? They ripped me off like false lashes and then threw me away. And all the headshots on the walls of the dance hall are of the bitches who wish I'd hurry up and die. But I'm immortal now, baby dolls. I couldn't if I tried. And that is the album, but she also has like the Amazon Music, like track by track descriptions. And this is, I think, so funny. Like, she is obviously such a troll. Like, she has said that this album was going to be folklore levels of storytelling, and it's just not. Like, it's just objectively not. Like, she is laughing at us. Like, this is silly to her. And so I wish that people would just stop taking it so seriously. Like, it's part of the show. Like, more things are coming. And I think that, like, this specifically, the intro to Father Figure is so funny. Like, she says, I would say that lyrically I had such a blast writing this record because each song is like, it's sort of choose your own adventure, which is like, what does that mean? Each song feels like an era of its own. What does she mean by that? It's just a very dramatic, sweeping, epic record full of 12 songs, but each one really packs a punch, and each one is kind of its own movie. She's obviously trolling. Like, she's obviously joking. I don't understand people who think that she's being serious with this because it's so obvious. I don't know, like, I don't know what's wrong with people. Like, I'm actually quite worried about the state of media literacy, and this is a whole discussion that goes far beyond Taylor Swift, but she's joking. It's fine. It's all going to be fine. She's proving a point. People forget about that interview she did where she said, people wildly underestimate how much I will inconvenience myself to prove a point. And people are like, why would she have a PR relationship? Like, that's so much work that's going to, you have no idea. Like, PR relationships, one, are everywhere. Lavender marriages, lavender relationships have been a staple of Hollywood and the entertainment industry for over a century. It's not that much extra work. It's like a well-oiled machine at this point. You know, you have a team, you have a publicist, they handle that stuff for you. You just have to show up to the public appearances. But like, she made the whole album as a prank to prove a point because this album is getting rave reviews and people are saying, wow, she finally remembered that she's Taylor Swift. She finally remembered that she is who she is. I love this album. It's so punchy. It's so fun. It is punchy and it is fun, but she is trying to prove a point that it doesn't matter about the artistry. And I think this is a point that she started wanting to prove in Reputation when Rep was like completely decimated by the critics and panned for any sort of award, and especially the Grammys. I don't know whether she has some outlets that are in on it and some outlets that she probably bought a good rating for and some outlets that are just like following in other people's footsteps. But the fact that like good rating after good rating after good rating, like better than any of her other albums, are dropping, it's just showing like how easy it is to buy a good review and how most of these music critics do not care about artistry. They just go off vibes. They just like are misogynistic. They just don't really like women. And so they don't care. Like, they're so subjective to whatever, you know, is in their mind at the moment, and like why ratings are not always reliable. I have no idea what the implications of this are for award season. Like, I don't know what's going to go on. I'm not even thinking about that at this point. I know that February is going to be fun with the Grammys and with the Super Bowl with Bad Bunny, but I don't want to like think too far ahead. I'm very in the present because there's a lot going on in the present moment. And so there were two things that tipped me off that this album was not the album that we were sort of like actually looking forward to. And the first one was that before Taylor announced this album on August 12th, on August 11th, Taylor Nation posted an Instagram post that said in the caption, like, thinking of when she said, see you next era. And it had all of these pictures, I think 12 pictures, of Taylor in outfits that were orange and pink, which are the colors of the lesbian flag, and which she wore a lot during the Eras tour. And everyone was immediately like, this is Karma. Karma, the lost album that was recorded between 1989 and Reputation, and then Snakegate happened, and she was canceled, and then they scrapped it, and it's probably very gay. You know, we think this might have been the first time that she tried to come out. Karma has always been orange because she has the whole rainbow of her albums. She has green, yellow, purple, red, blue, black. Like she has every color of the rainbow except orange. It was always the missing thing. So we saw orange and we were like, oh, it's Karma. And then she announces the album and its colors are orange and green. None of the pictures that were shared had any green in them. They were orange and pink. So I immediately was sort of like, this is a little bit strange. And then they announced the release party of a showgirl, not the release party for the life of a showgirl, the release party of a showgirl, in line with all of these exit signs we're seeing everywhere. Like, we think the showgirl who kicked the bucket in that Target commercial is going to be gone. We're finally getting just Taylor herself again. She is reunited with her true self. But they announced this release party of a showgirl and they used the exact same outfits that she was wearing in those 12 pictures. So all orange and pink, not a shred of green to be found except in the branding. And so it's like, okay, so we are still looking toward a different album. And that's why I thought that by the time it came out in theaters, it would be the alternate album. I was like, well, if we're supposed to wear pink and orange to the movie theater, then that probably means that's Karma, but it's not happening yet. But we do know that there is something orange and pink that we are expecting this era. The other thing is that throughout this whole album promo cycle, Taylor and her team have been using the red flaming heart emoji to advertise the life of a showgirl. And yet last night, when Rolling Stone put out their glowing review of the life of a showgirl, Taylor retweeted it and used orange heart emojis. Why is she using a different emoji than she has for the full album promo cycle? If not, there's a missing part. And I actually will insert a clip, but I called this. I predicted this. I said the first release is just going to be, I thought it was going to be a red heart emoji, but it was an orange heart, which makes sense. And then the second release is going to be the flames. And they've been using the flaming heart emoji to represent the life of a showgirl. So I think that the original album that they're dropping is going to be the red heart. And then at 1 a.m., Karma comes. Karma is the fire in your house, and she's about to pop up unannounced. Karma is the flames on that red heart. As a Virgo, I love to be right, but I'm more excited about Karma. But Karma, if you will recall, is the fire in your house, and she about to pop up unannounced. So yeah, I'm feeling a little bit insane right now, but in a good way. And the other thing that I think has been missing is that she has been teasing and Easter egging 47s for quite some time now. Like, she did it multiple times, at least 2 times in the New Heights podcast episode. And then she has used several 47s since then, including like the promo clip for the orange showgirl cardigan, used a clip of So It Goes that started at 47 seconds into So It Goes. People have found the most amazing, Easter eggs. I personally thought it was going to be a reference to Act 4, Scene 7 of Hamlet when they find out that Ophelia drowned. And at the end of this scene, they say, and by the end, this woman will be out. And clearly, I don't think that's what's happening anymore. However, what if it means October 4th at 7 p.m., just like this tack on the time card of a showgirl that says stand by. Because stand by is like to wait for something, like flying standby on an airplane or something, but standby is also someone that's there, like an actor that's there, in case they're needed. So like an extra album that's available in case it's needed. I think that just might be a fun idea. But if it doesn't come on October 4th, then I'll clown for it October 5th. And if it doesn't come the 5th, I'll clown for it the 6th, because, I don't know, clowning just makes me feel alive inside. It gives me a little something that gives a little pep in my step every day. And all this said, these are my thoughts, my initial thoughts on the album, The Life of a Showgirl. It's a prank. She is so funny. She is trolling us, and people are falling for it hook, line, and sinker. I'm really excited to see what happens next. And Taylor Swift, I love you, girl. She makes my life so interesting, and I can only ever thank her so much for, everything she's given me. Transformational emotional experiences, lyrics that I will know until my final breath and will probably be some of my last words. Just I just love her. I just love her so much, and I'm really grateful for everything that she's given us, and I'm really excited to see what she does next. Anyway, I love you so much, and I would love if you followed me and subscribed and et cetera, et cetera. You can find some links of where to find me in the caption, Instagram, TikTok. You can find where to book an astrology reading with me if that's something you're interested in. But mostly I just want to say, like, pay closer attention to what's going on. Like, don't just accept things as they happen and listen to just the media narrative of what's happening. Like, really let yourself feel it in your gut and be like, does this feel right, or does something feel a little off? And when things feel off, follow that. Read a lot of books, watch a lot of movies, consume a lot of really good media. That does not mean doom scrolling. I just think it's so important that people are like a bit more media literate and just aware, especially in this political climate. It will be really, 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 really important going forward. And, reading is awesome. So I love you. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.